Welcome back to the Zero Camber podcast where I hate my Audi. Sorry. It's been a bad week. I'm Mike.
I'm Whooper. And today we're going to try and talk Mike off the ledge by just talking about anything other than Audis.
Yeah, we're talking about Fords. That's how
significantly better. This is an upgrade. This is an upgrade.
I might have a recall, but at least it doesn't have to be maintained this way. Before we get into it, though, please like, subscribe, write a comment, give us 5 stars because we deserve 5 stars. It helps. It goes a long way, and I haven't checked to see if any of you guys have done that, but if you haven't, for shame.
If you guys give us a gold star, if you guys give us 5 stars, we'll give you a gold star and put your hand-drawn pictures on our fridge.
Here we go.
All you gotta do is send them.
Absolutely. Sounds good. All right. I don't have a lot of room on my fridge. My kids take up most of it, but I'll find it.
There's 4 bachelors living in this house, so there's so much room on the fridge. We have a utility bill, and that's it. You got 2 doors all to yourself. Whatever you want, guys. Whatever you want.
So where this all started was I made a controversial statement that I think that the Ecoboost Mustang S550 is good and that it has merits in purchase over competitive cars. My thesis is that the S550 Ecoboost Mustang is a modern 350Z. Because it's a similar weight, it's got really similar power. The power to weight's very close. The wheelbases are close. The track widths are close. I think it's a good deal. Now, Whoop here disagrees. He thinks the only Mustang worth buying has 8 cylinders.
Yes. So here's the thing, right? I don't think that the Ecoboost Mustang shouldn't exist. My thing is the Ecoboost Mustang is for people who want to buy a Mustang, but they don't want a Mustang. They just want to buy whatever's cheap so it looks like they drive a Mustang.
So I want to say one thing before that finishes. My contention when I worked at Ford was always that the Ecoboost Mustang, if they put it in a different body, they took the same motor, S550 platform, put different sheet metal on it, and called it something else, nobody would bitch and complain. They'd love it.
Now, I do agree with that. If the Ecoboost Mustang was just shaped slightly differently and called a probe, it would have sold like hotcakes.
Or the Falcon.
Yeah, they could have called it literally anything. They could have done anything else, and it probably would have sold pretty well. But I'm sure they didn't want to cannibalize Fusion or whatever sales, and so they didn't do that.
Develop additional sheet metal because
also,
the economic case for Mustang isn't great.
Also, I'm sure that the Ecoboost does play a big part in why Ford has been able to continue stuffing the Coyote into the Mustang as is anyways, emissions-wise. But that's a whole other topic. My whole argument here is that from an enthusiast perspective, if you are doing anything other than driving your Mustang to the grocery store, buy the Coyote. Because why would you not? The potential ceiling is infinitely higher. It's a much funner, more engaging driving experience. It feels less lethargic. And it's just overall a better car because that is what Ford actually was working on. Like when they were like, let's make an S550 Mustang, the Coyote GT is the car they were building. The Ecoboost was, how do we make this sellable? So
I don't disagree with that.
So for me, if I'm going to spend the time, energy, effort, and money to buy a Mustang, it's coming with a V8. And that's probably the most American take I've got. But
that is, I don't know. You want a Raptor? That's pretty damn American.
That is also
too.
Ford does get the bald eagles in me screaming a little. So
I will say after Six Berries said something about the 1-ton pickup, and I thought about it a little more. I will say, based on the conversation we had last week about Toyota being like the brand that you can get everything from, I will say I think Ford is up there.
I think I even said in that clip like Ford's probably the second option.
Well, I said no because I said they didn't have a good daily. And after thinking about it, I disagree with myself now because I forgot that the Maverick Hybrid exists, which is good fuel economy and a great daily driver. So I will, Ford and Toyota.
Yeah, to be fair, that was just the hang up for you. I would be fine with it because I'm okay with dailying something that is completely unreasonable to daily.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not.
Yeah. So yeah, I could never see you like dailying something like a cappuccino, whereas I drove that for like almost a year.
Here's the thing. I dailied for many years small cars, right? I drove. Do you know where Ortonville is?
Yes.
Okay, I drove from Ortonville to Dearborn every single day for years in an NB Miata. I did do it.
Yeah.
That's why I won't do it.
And then yeah, and then you experienced having kids and growing up, and then now you're like, yeah, I need something comfortable, and I'm getting there because I'm not gonna lie, I do enjoy just putzing around in the Tacoma sometimes.
I'm not gonna lie though, my Mini's not comfortable.
Oh, listen, so like last week I did drive the Cappuccino a couple of days, and by the third day of getting absolutely just back smashed at every potential pothole I would encounter on my way to Dearborn, I was like, yeah, Taco kind of drives nice.
Kind of missed the truck. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it's kind of like, ugh.
So anyway, what we're setting up here is you have selected some cars that you think might convince me are better purchases than an EcoBoost Mustang.
Yes.
The thing was they were supposed to be, I believe, similar in price and similar in miles. Ish.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Like you could get these with similar mileage for the same pricing.
Yes.
I don't have links, but I did do perusing. Now, granted, all of my perusing, I will say, they did not come from dealerships. This is all private market.
Yeah.
So
the prices are going to be a little bit lower.
So yeah, like they're going to be, but all of these are within probably 15, 17 to like 22,000. Like not
which is reasonable to be fair.
everything here you could find examples in that are decent for within that range.
I'm trying to remember the EcoBoost Mustang in that range was what, somewhere around 60,000 or so miles?
Yeah, they were kind of floating between like 60 and 80,000 miles.
Okay, so 60 and 80,000 miles between 15 and 20 grand. That's not a bad price. Like I actually think that's a pretty reasonable
Yeah, no, it's
I paid 25 for my Q7 and that had 65,000 miles on it. So
yeah. And I mean, I would say this is EcoBoost Mustang, you could drive it every day for sure, but your Q7's obviously infinitely more functional.
I almost did buy an EcoBoost Mustang, actually. So I want to be clear. I almost bought an EcoBoost Mustang.
So clearly the Mini beats you out, so I guess I should have put that on the list.
Well, no. I should say no. The EcoBoost Mustang I almost bought a really long time ago back when I was working at Ford. They had a bunch of... So the thing is, right, Ford... What will happen at Ford is... management leases, when new vehicles come out, a bunch of managers will get leases, and then those leases go back to Ford. Ford distributes those to the distribution network in the Dearborn area, sort of Dearborn Southfield area. They get a lot of off-lease management cars. And so you'll occasionally get massive influxes of cars just based on whatever kind of came out from Ford that managers want. Yep. So there was a crap load of S550 Mustangs and a crap load of S550 EcoBoosts, and I almost got a 15,000 mile, it was really close, 15,000 mile EcoBoost California package. So that's the white, right? The all white interior. Yep. For 21.
That's not bad, especially at the time.
Back in 2000, this would have been 2017.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the pricing we're looking at right now for 50,000 more miles. So that'd have been a pretty decent deal.
Yeah. But so anyway,
we're talking
what are
about
these cars?
Today.
What's the first one you think that would convince me is a better deal than an EcoBoost Mustang?
All right, so first thing, if you want a Mustang, but you're looking at an EcoBoost Mustang, you want something kind of comparable. Several of these options are comparable in size. I'm assuming you kind of want a coupe sporty.
Something around
nature,
that.
Right? Because we're looking at getting a Mustang. Those are the qualities you're looking for.
Right.
So, I think a better buy is a 17 plus GT86 or BRZ. So like facelift.
Yes.
First gen 86s.
So I'm going to say immediately, because this is a car I've considered heavily, it depends a lot on what I want to do with it.
Yes.
Right? If I am looking for a platform to build on for like a track car, I would definitely get the GT86. 100%.
Yes.
However, and I think this is sort of the the reason the 350Z was popular is it makes really healthy power for what it is, right?
Yes.
Really, really healthy power for what it is. And its downfalls come in weight and suspension, which is a lot easier to change. So that's where, to me, I do think that depending on what you want to use it for, the EcoBoost Mustang is an attractive choice comparatively because if you're happy with 300 horse, you don't have to do nearly as intensive of a modification to make it what you want.
Now, my contra point to that would be that a GT86 does weigh like 600-700 pounds less.
No, for sure.
So you're already down a good amount of weight. I do think that a GT86 is every bit as fine to drive on a daily basis.
Oh, 100%. GT86 would be a great daily.
The only issue that I would say where a EcoBoost Mustang does in fact beat out GT86 or BRZ is just in the actual like economy department for fuel economy, because unfortunately you probably won't be touching 30 unless you're only doing freeway, whereas like if you're you could get 30 if you're just lightly driving. If you're grannying around in an EcoBoost, you should be able to get near 30.
Yeah, no, the fuel economy of an EcoBoost is impressive.
Yeah, well, and like later cars, I know like you can break 40, so like
it does make a better daily, I think.
Yes, and
overall,
I mean it is slightly larger. Yeah, it is slightly larger. You've got a little bit more usable back seats, things like that. But I think that the GT86 offers a what I would argue is probably a better driving experience over the EcoBoost Mustang.
I would say it's a better driving experience, yes.
In comparison, like unless you get into a V8, of course, but that's not the target here.
Yeah.
But a GT86 gonna be my first pick to replace that.
I think it's fair. I think there are merits.
Yeah, I mean,
the
there's
EcoBoost over
slight
the GT86.
compromises
It's
either
a slightly
way.
different car, yeah. So, efficiency, yeah, I'll give you this. Weight to power efficiency, if I'm remembering the EcoBoost horsepower numbers correctly, it's like 300, right?
I think it's even a little bit more than that. I think it's like 310, 320.
All right, let's double check this.
I do remember the EcoBoost.
310.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm doing the power to weight real quick. So divide that by 310, not 300. Oop, not 3100. Okay. So if we're doing pounds per horsepower, it's actually the GT86 is more efficient pound per horsepower.
That's actually impressive.
It's about 9.2 as opposed to about 11.3 for the Mustang. So it does have a better weight efficiency. I'll give it that.
And this might be controversial, but I do not believe the GT86 is actually underpowered. I think the GT86 in stock form is actually perfectly fine, and anybody who's complaining about it really just is probably looking for something else.
I don't think the GT86 is underpowered. I think it's under torqued.
Regardless, I'm treating the power and torque here in the same breath. Yes, there's the infamous torque dip, but
it's not what I'm talking about. I just don't think it has enough torque. Is really
but I mean it's also a 4-cylinder boxer.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it's not
there's
like torque.
It's also only 2 liters in comparison to 2.3 here. It also isn't turboed. But I would also say and you can, for not a lot of effort, you could slap any number of supercharger or turbo options on that BRZ, and it will be plenty faster than an EcoBoost Mustang in stock form.
You're definitely because the weight difference for sure.
Well, the weight difference, and also you're gonna gain that other 80 horse that's missing, and now you're making the same power.
Yeah, at a much lower weight. Here's the only thing I can say about that, and this is just a personal preference thing. I'm a whore for turbo motors, and I don't like NA motors that much. I don't really care that much for NA motors.
That's fine, but I also would make the argument that the motor, the FA20 inside the GT86
Yeah.
and the BRZ responds to boost very well. That was intended.
No, it's just for sure knowing that I have to take that on if I want it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would be a little bit more concerned if installing something like a supercharger wasn't like a weekend project for that car. Like that's
fair.
It's not very taxing. You know, it's like the spending the money is probably the worst part of that experience.
That's fair.
Other than that,
that's fair.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, like, I'll say this. I think I kind of stick by the same thing. If I was buying a car that I was primarily going to drive on the street to work and back on a regular basis, I'd probably get an EcoBoost. If I wanted a toy, I would get the GT86.
That's fair. So I'm going to carry this into my next...
thinking about it, that sort of plays into your point, so fair.
Yeah, so my next pick here would be a 135i, an E82 135i.
Oh, fuck you.
Because it makes...
Oh, that's a good one.
All the same power. It's a little bit smaller, a little bit more nimble. You're driving in an E82, which granted, it's not exactly like it's, you know...
I'd get a 135. I would get an E82 before I'd get an EcoBoost any day.
The quality of a S550 to a E82 is pretty comparable. I don't think an S550 interior is really that much better than a 15-year-old BMW. So
no, I will. Okay, one caveat, because I do love me some cooled seats, is that EcoBoost premiums are really well loaded in terms of features. I do like me some cooled seats. Yeah. That said, happily buy an E82 over an EcoBoost Mustang. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I mean, like, again, it's still kind of the same thing. Plus, like, you could kind of option an E82 pretty well. Like, if you wanted, you could get a sunroof, you could get, heated seat. I don't know if you can get cooled seats in that generation, but
probably not. But it's really not that much smaller usability wise either.
No, it's not. And like, that's still a very capable car. You still have and again, I think you got a better potential ceiling,
100%.
And I mean, let's be real, if you're driving around, right, like, you're probably going to feel a little bit better about driving around in a BMW versus a Mustang. Like, it's on a self level, it's going to make you feel, I just like BMWs. Yeah. Well, I know you're a Euro guy too, so that yeah, I am. That does kind of play up that. But I think overall, an E82 is a very competitive experience. Yes. For that, and I think you kind of would need to talk about a GT to kind of really steer you away from an E82, because I do think the E82 is a considerably better car than an EcoBoost Mustang. I would agree. Something else I bet you is probably in the same price range that I just thought about, because you got me on this thought, is probably an M235. Yeah, at this point, that is also probably about in that price range. Yeah, which I would also happily take. So, and then since the Mustang is available in a vert, I figured I would throw a vert option at you. Not that I am the biggest fan of verts. Not that you're a big convertible fan, But if I do like a vert, it would be a Honda S2000, because a Honda S2000 is kind of fantastic. And granted, I will say you will probably get a slightly more beat-on S2000 in this price range. However, it's an S2000. I have a coworker that has like a mint S2000 in the, I can't remember the names, but the white, like the metallic white exterior. White. Yes, with the red interior, the AMOLED red interior. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, it's a great combo. I keep telling him to sell it because he never drives it. He drives it like twice a year. I'm like, dude, you should just sell it. Like, let somebody enjoy it. Let somebody else enjoy it who's going to. He thinks he could only get to like $25,000 for it, and I think he'd get more. S2000s are. No, well, if he's only wanting to let it go for 25, I know that's what I said. That's what I said. Yeah, that Mini's got to go. You gotta. I know. I'd lose my ass on the Mini. For the S2000, it might be worth it. The reason we got the Mini was because I had to have 4 seats. That's fair. Currently, because my Q7 is fucking down, I've got child seats in the Mini. I can't put my seat all the way back where it needs to be. Hear me out. Luggage rack on the rear deck lid, and we do the rear-facing seats like a brat. No. It worked for Subaru in the 80s. No. I don't have this like massive affection for the S2000. Really? So I'm I don't think the S2000 is like the end all be all. But
yeah,
if I'm comparing a car at sub 20 grand, you got to have a convertible. And like, if you were thinking about something like Miatas, an S2000 is infinitely better than a Miata.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I'm the same as you. I don't have a huge affection for convertibles either.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I
do think
cross-shopped, right? So I kind of forget to mention this. When I bought my Indy, I was cross-shopping Indy M235i, 370Z, and GT86s. That's what I was cross-shopping. And I ended up with an Indy Miata, which was the stupidest mistake because I bought the worst of all four of them.
Yeah.
You know, like I should have bought. Here's the thing: of all of those cars, the one that I consistently kick myself in the ass for not buying was the M235. I should have bought the M235. I was scared away by the maintenance, but I should have fucking bought it because I want it. I still want.
Financially, actually, surprisingly, somehow I do think the 370Z almost would have been the best buy there. Just
I probably would have.
Those seem to have held their value very well, but
yeah. No, 100%. Well, and I didn't buy an EcoBoost. I wasn't even considering an EcoBoost Mustang because at the time, EcoBoost Mustangs were more.
Yeah.
At the time,
they were kind of
expensive.
This would have
been 2020. This would have been 2020.
Yeah, they were kind of expensive for what they are.
Yeah, they were like sitting still in like the mid-high 20s, which is just too expensive for what.
And that's why another reason why I think, again, coming up with this list, like I think at this price point, still it's not the best deal. I think I think
that's probably fair.
I think when an EcoBoost is available at like sub 10 G's, now you're talking. I think that's a great price point. If you can get an EcoBoost for sub 10 grand, go for it.
That's I think part of my point is that part of the reason the 350Z is so good right now and it's so desirable right now is because it's so cheap.
Yeah, because I mean,
comparison for what it is,
you can get one for 8 to 10 grand in pretty okay condition.
Now I know people are going to complain about the turbo motor. They're going to say they're not reliable. I think that's bullshit. Ford
anything's reliable if you actually do maintenance.
Well, and Ford has shown that
the
EcoBoost motor lines are actually really good. Remember, how long was it ago that the 3.5 came out in the F-150 and people were saying those are going to die at 100,000 miles and they are proving to be one of Ford's best motors.
11, something like that.
Yeah, and they're proving to be one of Ford's best motors.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I consistently see high mileage EcoBoost trucks all the time. I mean,
my dad has a 115,000 mile EcoBoost that still runs strong.
Yeah, I'm talking. I've seen 250, 300,000 mile plus trucks.
I believe it.
So
early
as long as you're doing
had issues. I think we can agree. Early 2.3s had issues.
100%.
And I will say Ford's manual transmissions have some issues. I've known multiple people who've just daily driving had bent forks. Like multiple
What transmission is in the EcoBoost?
I'm actually not so sure.
Because it's not the MT82, is it?
I thought it was, but I might be wrong.
I'd be curious. Yeah, I'd be curious to know on that, just because I'm not sure.
Ooh, that was loud.
So
what's our last?
So the last one is a little bit of a curveball, and I did this one especially for you because I know you're a family man, So I thought you might appreciate, actually going a little up in size. And I know, Subarus, they're not quite. I mean, you like Subarus, but they're not quite, exactly what you'd want, just out of the maintenance aspect more so than anything.
I don't know. I bought an Audi. Maybe I'm just fucking lying.
Yeah, you are kind of lying to yourself. You might as well just buy an STI at this point.
I might as well. Might as well.
At least you'd have been smiling when you were done getting railed after that one. But my other pick here. Now, granted, this is another one kind of like the S2000. It's
gonna be a little more beat.
It might be a little bit more beat. I did find a couple that were actually pretty all right, for that. They were earlier, but Evo 10 GSRs. Granted, I don't think the interior is necessarily even as good as an S550 interior, but you're getting all-wheel drive.
Necessarily as good as a Focus ST interior.
Yeah, listen, it works. It's an interior.
Yeah, it's got an interior.
It has an interior. the rattles were like that when it rolled off the line. It's just, that is what it is. Okay?
It was,
but
100%.
You do have all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
300 horsepower.
Yep.
And, you know, it's an Evo. I mean, it's gonna make good noises. It's gonna, you know, it's
turbo motor.
Fun. It's a turbo motor, and a 4B11 will make some power.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So I think, you know, and I think that's a good driving car.
My problem with that is that I wouldn't cross shop it, more or less, because if I want a rear-wheel drive car, I want a rear-wheel drive car. If I want an all-wheel drive car, I want an all-wheel drive car.
Right.
So I wouldn't.
The potential for the money.
But the potential for the money
does make this kind of fit in, and that's why I think, like,
I'd rather have this in like an S4. I would, honestly, because S4s are such a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, I know these things can be nightmares, but I don't think it's just it doesn't quite live up to Audi tax.
Yeah, you know? Well, and I can say for sure, because I've looked into, because there was a period where I was really close to pulling a trigger on an Evo 10. And like, I'll be honest, like, you could do a built 4B for like not a lot of money. Like, you could, it's about half as much as building an EJ. Like,
I believe that.
It's actually,
why are EJs so fucking expensive to build?
You know,
after all these years,
I couldn't tell you. Like, I mean, granted, there's cheap ways of doing it, but like, I mean, if you just go buy like even a base block from, you know, out front, like a base short block from IAG or out front, you know, and you're just like, all right, I'm just gonna buy this and throw it together. You're still paying $3-4 grand minimum. So like, but like $3-4 grand gets you like a whole built short block, and like, I had just not that much money for an Evo, and like, you only have one head to get machined, you only have one block to get machined. It's you know, there's a lot less kind of going on. So like, if you want to even just kind of like slap one together, the internals are cheaper. Stroker kits are stupid cheap. You could do a 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 build. Yeah. So cheap, so easy. And like, they respond to power pretty well. Like, even in stock form, you can, unlike an STI, you can't just throw 500 horse at it out the gate and expect it to last. You can kind of do that with one of these. So
yeah, you can.
I mean,
so I think by virtue of the fact that it's an all-wheel drive car, it's I'm not considering it versus a Mustang, an EcoBoost Mustang. Now, knowing my weird buying habits, I probably would, because I cross shop the weirdest shit. I mean, I was actually cross shopping 235s and or 225s and the Mini, right? Like, and a Giulia, and like, that was my three cars I was checking out when I bought the Mini. Was a 235, a Giulia, and a Mini. Yeah. I didn't even make it to the Giulia or the 235. I drove the Mini and I said, that's the car. Impulsive. I'm very impulsive.
Listen, sometimes that's how it is.
It is. So I'm going to say good choice, but not necessarily, but just not something I would consider against that. However, knowing that those can be had in that price range, I am intrigued. Might keep that on the list. So if we take the three, we'll call it, we got 4 cars, right?
Yep.
So we've got EcoBoost Mustang. We have a 17 plus GT86 and S2000 to 135 E82, right? So we're going to kick the Evo off the list.
Yep.
If I was going to list those and say, which car do I want a daily? E82, S550 EcoBoost, GT86, S2000, in that order. That would be my order. Now, if I was going to build a track car, E82, GT86, EcoBoost, S2000. And I say that because S2000 parts are getting hard to come by.
Yeah.
And so an EcoBoost, even though I think the S2000 is a better track car, the EcoBoost is going to cost me less.
Yeah, your operating costs will be definitely lower.
Yes. If I was going to build a drift car, this is going to be controversial, but I'm tied between the GT86 and the EcoBoost Mustang. Because I think you could get an EcoBoost Mustang, throw an angle kit on it, and be fine. It's one of the few cars that I would consider that you need to put an angle kit on, because they have such shitty stocking.
Yeah, the S550 does kind of need angle.
Yeah, and I say that with experience from driving them on the wet course at Michelin, because I just, like, you get more than like 30 degrees of rear kick out and you're fucking gone. There's no returning that car.
Maybe you could get by without angle, but I would highly recommend a handling package, performance and handling package, GT steering rack.
Yeah. It just needs something, because here's the thing, you could probably drift it, but you're gonna look like an ass.
You're definitely not going to get as much angle out of it as you might want, and
it's not going to look
might
good.
prove to be a little bit more challenging.
Yes, but I think that is a really good, just like go like literally, it's one of the few cases I'd say I think you could throw an angle kit on it and drift it, and it'd be fine.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun actually to do.
Yo, and that's why I do think in the future, because those are a dime a dozen
for that case.
With those are a dime a dozen, and so when they are sub 10 grand, then Ecoboost Mustang sold quite well in comparison to everything else.
Yeah,
everything else on this list did not. I mean, like, to put that in perspective, 2024 was Ford's worst year of Mustang sales in the history of Mustangs, and they still sold over 30,000 units. So
damn, that's really good.
A good chunk of those. And I was actually just talking to
I saw it in the group chat.
JT in our chat the other day about that, because he had mentioned something about, like, you know, how popular, how good the Supra is doing, and I was like, the Supra is not selling well. The Supra does not sell well at all. Like,
not by like modern car manufacturer need standards.
Yeah, no. So,
and they're probably losing money on all those. They probably sell less of them, and it's better off for them.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, but no, I like. Because I guess here's another thing. I will say this, and you're going to like this. You're going to like what I have to say. If you did start doing any kind of motorsport on an EcoBoost Mustang, it would be easier for you to transition to a Coyote motor. You just go get a GT, and it's the same fucking car. It's just got more power now. Yeah,
well, and like a good amount of stuff, right? Your suspension, other things like that, you could probably just kind of swap right over. There's a lot of things that, you know, maybe body stuff.
But
like, for the most part, you're kind of going to be more familiar with it. But that is why I do think, like, a sub 10,000, when you could go get a kind of clapped EcoBoost for $6 grand, $7 grand.
Yep.
And then, like, you could go beat the shit out of it for a year or two. And then you're like, okay, now I've slid this into a wall a few times. I know how to not do that. Now you can go spend 20 grand by yourself, that, you know, Coyote. And then be like, okay, now you're, like, actually a semi-competent driver. And you actually have a car that can match that. So
and so
that's the upgrade path. But I think if you're just like, I want to go fat, or like, I want something that's gonna be a good driving experience, and I want to buy something that I want to buy a Mustang, just go buy a Coyote. Unless you're like, I want to go put it in a wall, in which case find the cheapest EcoBoost. Unless you're just like, I just want to drive a Mustang,
unless
I want to
you
get
have,
in it.
or unless you have like you're at that budget range.
Yeah,
right?
no,
and
if you can
only
afford
so much that you can, you know.
No, 100%. Yeah, if you can afford a Coyote.
If you can afford a GT, go get a GT.
Yeah.
100%. If you can afford a GT, go get a GT.
Yeah, if the extra 5 to 10 grand, and granted, you can find clapped Coyotes, or if you can work on something and you're not afraid to get dirty and spend some money on parts and whatnot, you can find clapped GTs in the same price range as, like, semi-nice EcoBoost.
I just always think it's better to start with a nice car. Like, I just personally, I think it's better to start off on a nicer car.
If you were going to beat the shit out of it on track, then what's it matter?
I think that from that point, you're starting with a better base, right?
Yeah, but
you can get out and just get some fucking drive in, right? Instead of having to go build.
To me, I would say, even if it's semi-clapped though, like, okay, like, if you can get into something like,
if it's like running and driving, no problems, okay.
I was gonna say, if it runs and drives and it has, like, minor issues, right? Like, AC doesn't work and it's got dents and dings, and, you know, like, the interior's kind of ratty. Like, those are the ones that are, like, going for, you know, like, those are the ones that aren't selling well. But like, if you'll pass tech and you could buy that car for 20 grand, buy that car. Like, I would take that 10 out of 10 times over the EcoBoost for 20 grand, just because it's like, oh, well, the interior's not trash. Well, it's like,
no, I don't care. I understand that. If I'm doing it as a race car, for sure. I think a part of it for me too is, and maybe this is just the point that I am in my life right now, but I can't imagine going and spending 20 grand on a car that I might wrap around a pole.
Right? Yeah, I mean, that's fairly fair.
I would start with something that's $5,000.
My only contradiction, or my only, like, you know, point against that really would be the fact that, like, if you go to, like, an actual drift event most of the time, you're not going to be just, like, in a parking lot surrounded by poles more often than not.
When I say wrapped around a pole, I mean, like, I just am generally fucking ruining the car. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and my thing though is like, it's one of those things that, like, that's definitely kind of like a mindset, right? And it's like when you're sliding a car, right? Like if you're sliding and you're next to a ditch because you're on the street,
Yeah.
you know, if you're looking at the ditch, you're probably going to go in the ditch. So if you go into it with the mindset of I'm going to stuff this thing in a wall, you're probably going to put it in a wall. So
no, I know, I agree. It's just I do generally kind of buy into the adage of like if you do not have the money to replace this car and it like would be a big blow to you to not have this car, don't do it to this car. And I'm just not at a point where I could just throw 20 grand away, basically, right? Like that's kind of what I mean.
Well, yeah, that's fair. And also I do also most of the time push, like, if you're buying a car for drifting, whether you're new to it, whether you're not new to it, buying something that does have a lower cost of entry is always a better idea. That's why I push ZN6s very hard.
I agree.
Honestly, an E82 is a fantastic option.
I agree.
You could buy 128 even, and like those are dirt cheap right now.
I've been a big proponent of the GT86 alongside you, but I might have to defect for the E82. I forget the E82 exists, though. I will say that. I forget it exists because it's not that common.
I think about it kind of all the time, to be honest. Like, I actually just today was scrolling through Marketplace, unfortunately, as I do, and I found
I stopped a few weeks ago for
I found a 135i that needs a little bit of work, but it's only got like 100,000 miles on it. That's fair. $5,000. I'm like, $5,000 for a 135i. I'm like, that's kind of a lot of car for $5,000.
That's a lot of car for $5,000. Yeah.
So,
but that's the thing, right? If you could find some like an Ecoboost like that in 5 years,
exactly, and that's my thing, right? 2030 comes along, and you could get that 2017 Ecoboost for $5,500.
Yes.
That's when that'll be a great to slide.
Yes.
But I do think that like we're a little ways out from that being like the next good option for sliding. I think right now we're looking at Zs. I think we're kind of seeing, E36, E46s have kind of like taken the main height of like the 240, right? Because like most people are, the 240s that are sliding now most of the time are like fairly nice because people have spent money to get them that good because they're spent money on the car. So like, well, they're like spent $10,000 on the car. I'm not going to just stuff it in the wall and not take care of it. So now that the 36 and 46 are moving up, I think like Z's, E82s are kind of like the next logical step in ZN6s are like the next logical step in what's like.
So what you're saying is I should go buy an E82.
I'm not against it.
I have the Lexus though. I should keep the Lexus.
I do think you should keep the Lexus.
I should just figure out how to manual swap the Lexus.
Yes,
I want a manual in that car.
Yeah, we will do that.
No,
I think we need to do that.
Once the Q7 is maintained. For people that don't know, the CV boot was not supposed to be something I was supposed to have to do.
No, but I guess it's better you found it now than
bunch of underhood work.
Yeah, that's true.
No, yeah, other than when it's actually damaged and I need to spend $1,500 on an axle.
I think we joked about this near the start of the podcast about that I might have to take a break from trying to work on my own stuff to come down there to work on your stuff because you were like, I don't know when I'll get to this. And here we are, almost what? This is going to be episode 9, so this is past our second month.
I don't think we're weak.
This is episode 8.
I think it's episode 8. Yeah. So episode 8. And then we're going to record episode 9 in like 10 minutes because we're doubling up this week. Sorry, a little how the sausage is made moment. So there we go. It's EcoBoost Mustangs aren't a fucking Reddit opinion, Anna. That shit pissed me off.
That was funny. I do remember getting the text message. It was like, I can't believe I got called a Redditor or something along
Seriously. Anybody that knows me would know that is like, not me.
Now I know if I ever need to get under your skin, drop that, drop the Redditor slur.
Yeah, seriously.
I guess while we're talking about drifting, since we're near at the end of this, right?
This episode,
before we wrap it up, we've got a topic that we were going to add in last week's episode, but it didn't make it.
I sent because I've been trying to do these technical videos. I didn't do a whiteboard one this week. I talked about like tire wear. Go watch it. It's a little short. I'm a fucking tire engineer. You should go watch the video about tire wear. But I had sent a text to Bailey, a shout out at Horsepower Pizza, awesome dude. And I was like, what kind of technical stuff do you want to see? And he was like, I'd love to see a little whiteboard video covering individual versus dual caliper for drift handbrakes, and like what's kind of pros and cons. And like I still plan to do that video, but I thought it would be fun, especially because Mr. Whoop here is a brake. Are you brake test engineer? I think technically, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean, so brakes is pretty much what I do.
Brakes is your professional thing. So
yeah, so literally we do brake testing. That's what I do practically around the clock. And so I guess I can execute a little bit of knowledge here.
Yeah, curious, like what's your opinion on the two systems?
So, all right. If you're trying to put together something on an absolute budget, and like when I say an absolute budget, I mean like you're already affirming the handbrake, right? You have no money. I suppose inline would work. I really don't like going for an inline setup, because inline setup means that you are putting a handbrake in line, right? So now you are adding
you're just
second brake pedal essentially
of the brakes.
Right. And so, granted, some vehicles where you have where you can tap into a single line, maybe to get to both the rear calipers, it might be a little easier. So something like older, some kind of Fox body, things of that nature.
Instead of like a cross system like Subarus tend. Right.
So with an inline setup, you're basically adding a hand version of a brake pedal, and so when you pull that, unless if you're tying that in directly to most setups, especially most modern setups, you're just basically pressing the brake pedal, and so all four wheels are going to get brake pressure applied. And even if it's more on the rear, you actuating that is still going to move fluid. You're still going to you're going to apply some pressure on your front brakes as well, and so that can affect your driving. If you're trying to have a handbrake for the purpose of sliding, you're trying to lock the rears up for momentarily, so that way you can actually break traction.
You don't necessarily want your front tires to lose traction. Like you're already asking a lot of them.
Right. And if you're, let's say, mid-slide, now that your front tires are doing a lot, like you said, you potentially stopping them is going to either probably throw you into spin, or,
Definitely could.
It's either going to throw you into spin, or it's going to throw off your line, and you're going to have to be constantly making a lot more adjustments. And using a handbrake is already kind of a less desirable habit to have as is.
I think that's a great point to just say overall is don't rely on a hydro.
You don't want to have to rely on it. You want to use it as an extra tool when you need it, not to scrub off speed.
Touch on the point about the front tires. Mm-hmm. So people that don't know, right, something called the tire friction circle. It's literally because fore, aft, front, back, left, right. I don't know what direction that's going to be on the video at the end. Right. Your tire has a maximum longitudinal and maximum lateral grip. It's about a circle. It also oftentimes looks like oblong, but regardless, it's like that. When you are talking the amount of force that your tire can generate, as you increase lateral, the amount of fore aft it goes down, because it's a circle. So you get less in the fore aft. So if you start inducing a significant amount of, because if you're turned and you hit that inline hydro and it locks the front brakes, it's going to introduce a shitload of fore aft, right, forcing, because that's the direction that the brake is moving it in. And we're talking fore aft with respect to the tire contact patch.
Yeah.
Then that's going to pull a bunch of force on the fore aft, and you're going to lose a bunch of your lateral, right? Because you're locking it up. So you're basically going to lose lateral. And that's the reason.
Which is the opposite of what you want, believe it or not. I know a lot of people think you want to just have no grip when you're drifting, but in reality, if you have no grip, you have no speed, and so you need grip in order to have the speed necessary to actually slide the car. So you're kind of already ruining things by doing that. And so that is why I would always put an emphasis on actually doing a proper dual caliper setup, where you have an independent system
Unless you're running something older where maybe you can just get the rears.
If you can have something where you can add, where you're tying into the brake lines, where you're able to get just to the two rears, and it's a completely independent setup, where it has a independent chamber for your front and rear brakes, on your master cylinder, then something like that would be fine. Or if you can add some kind of check valve between, that way you can, once you activate that, you're only adding, the rear, you can't push that fluid back. But a lot of things don't necessarily work that way.
But now you're also getting a lot of extra complexity in hydraulics, which if that fucks up, that's a big danger.
Right. Well, and at the same time, you're adding more weak points to your already, normal braking system, which you don't really want to fail. If you're using this car on the street at all, anything like that, having a second brake setup, it's going to extend the life of your brake components, your pads, your rotors, because now you could run a high friction, high temp pad, track pad on just the second caliper setup, because that's when you're using it. And then
that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Semi-standard brakes for your normal brakes, because you're not using them to the same degree that you're using, it's not seeing sudden jolts of, 60 mile an hour to just scrub off a bunch of speed. If you're doing that, you're going to have a better life out of that. You also have, if you needed to, you have your normal handbrake still, probably. You have your normal, your normal brakes. It's independent. If something were to happen, right, now you have a secondary set of, brakes that can, if you were already on the brakes and you're engine braking and you still don't seem like you can stop, you could always try and grab that and really try and stop. Plus, having that, you're going to have just a better level of control out of having that much more braking potential. Obviously, having a full second pad, I know like S chassis guys, right? They love to run like dual Z32 rears in the back. I think they even do them on like the later Zs as well. But that is giving you a whole second rear caliper. That's a lot of extra stopping power and capability that you're adding. And so doing that in its own independent system is also, it's going to be more responsive as well, because if you have a proper handbrake with a properly sized master cylinder, you're going to get a lot more pressure, and it's going to be a lot more even. It's going to be a lot more controllable. It's just a much safer, much better solution. And so if you can afford to spend a few bucks to do it properly, I would always recommend 10 out of 10 times to do that.
Okay. Very cool. Well, we've hit our time for this one. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and record the next one. But you won't hear about it for another week, because we're doing this so that we can get ahead of the fact that I'm going to be gone in like a week or something. And it'll be a pain in the ass to record. So yeah. With that, this has been a fun episode talking about cars I'd rather have than an EcoBoost Mustang. The only one that really won was the E82. So,
in conclusion, buy a Coyote Mustang.
Yeah. Conclusion, buy a Coyote. And in conclusion, buy a 135.
Yeah. Honestly, listen, 135Is, they're on the. It's worth spending the money on right now. They're on the up.
I should get one. Okay. Well,
let's
anyway,
finish your Lexus first.
Like and subscribe. Do all the stuff we asked you to do at the beginning, and check us out for the next episode. Go away.